Let's turn our thoughts now into what is happening across the pond. This pretty stunning development when you have Prime Minister Rishi Sunak yesterday calling for elections with his party trailing massively in the polls. To discuss, we want to bring in our expert panel right now, former advisor to the Bank of England, UK Treasury, UK Ministry of Finance, a financial entrepreneur, a lending expert, consumer finance industry who advises governments, large businesses. Roger Gewolb with us alongside director of the Heritage Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom and former advisor to Margaret Thatcher herself, Nile Gardiner. Gentlemen, a pleasure to have you both with us.
Always a pleasure.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.
So this is an election date change, sort of a surprise, kind of took some people, by surprise why they're doing it now. I'll let you start, Roger. Is this a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to just everyday folks that are living in the UK? It does seem like if it was closer to November and Trump wins, it would have helped the Conservatives in the UK.
Yes, I think it is a good thing in that people are really sick and tired of politicians. All politicians in the UK, they're all regarded as just so awful by most people that the turnout for votes, such as the London mayoral vote, was very, very low. I think people are going to be very happy to see the end of all this politicking.
Nile, you are, as you know, an expert as well in all of this. It's 14 years of conservative rule. There's a lot of polls indicating that socialist government similar to Biden administration, but even worse there, as Roger just alluded to. So I guess the sooner people vote, the better. What's your take on this?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Bianca. And in my view, this is a very high-risk move by Rishi Sunak, and the Conservatives are trailing by between 20 and 25 percentage points in the polls. This seems to be an insurmountable task over the course of just 6 weeks to turn that around. This appears to be a very reckless move by the PM. He should have waited until the autumn, October, November, and that would have given him, I think, a far better a chance to reduce the Labour lead. But the Prime Minister's gone for an early general election. A lot of Conservative MPs are very unhappy about it, but they've got to fight now over the course of the next 6 weeks. I think a Labour government would be absolutely disastrous for Britain. There'd be similar, of course, to the Biden administration, even worse in some respects. A very left-wing administration after 14 years of Conservative rule in the UK, and I think that a socialist government for Britain would be really catastrophic for the British people. But at the same time, of course, the Conservatives have not been strong enough. They've been too weak on many fronts. They have not been conservative enough, frankly. And Rishi Sunak is paying the price in the polls.
Yes, and some of the issues that are coming up here, of course, are global as well when it comes to Israel, the ICC warrants for Netanyahu alongside a Hamas terrorist. Labour Party, in fact, said yesterday they'd support a Palestinian state, support the ICC warrants. I mean, that's going to play into some of the voters' minds there in the UK as well. How is that landing, Roger?
Well, I mean, Nile and I agree on most things, but I agree with him absolutely about Labour, but I completely disagree that this was an unthinking, unsmart move by Rishi. I think it was a very smart move by Rishi, and in fact, I'm asking myself, if Rishi can be so smart, how the devil has he not been able to run the government better? The reason the move was smart, Bianca, is for two reasons. Number one, he is such a bad prime minister. The Conservatives are in so much trouble after so many bad things after 14 years. They're now about to throw him out. By calling a general election yesterday, they can't throw him out between now and November.
Okay.
Number two, and perhaps more importantly, he has neutralized Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. Farage was making up his mind. If he had taken over the Reform Party, he could have caused huge damage to the Conservatives. Now, Nigel, within 24 hours, said, that's it, I'm not running for office. He called Nigel's bluff, and I think that was very clever. It's a shame. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I WhatsApped Nigel a while ago. I mean, it's terrible. It's a clever move.
Let's let Nile respond to that. So these are chess moves that Roger's pointing out, and he thinks they tipped in the scale for Rishi. Please respond, Nile. lot of N's here, sorry.
Well, certainly.
Now
I
you can
think
respond on Nigel Farage, too.
Yeah, I think the Nigel Farage factor was certainly part of the calculation by Rishi Sunak, but I don't think that this is going to change the big picture at all. Reform is polling at around 12% right now. They could even increase that percentage of the vote in the coming weeks. I don't think it significantly changes the fact that Reform are going to take a lot of Conservative votes, regardless of whether Nigel Farage is leading the party or not. But that was certainly, I think, a factor in the calculation made by Rishi Sunak. A very cynical move by the PM, not in the interest of his party or in the country, I think, to go early.
I think we'll be watching it. Agree to disagree. It will be July 4th, a big day here in America as well, as you know, for us and our freedoms. All right, guys, got to leave it there. Roger Gewolb, Nile, Gardiner, a pleasure, gentlemen. Come back soon.